All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and completely reframe how we actually view success. Today, we're going to explore the rhythm of discipline. We'll be looking at some absolutely fascinating insights curated from across the Lemonade community, alongside some media analysis, to really understand why relying on your mood is just, well, it's a losing game. And more importantly, how building a steady internal rhythm changes absolutely everything.
So, ever feel that sudden, super relatable panic when that initial burst of excitement for a new goal inevitably just fades out? We've all been there, right? You buy the fancy new running shoes, you download the language app, and you feel entirely on top of the world. But then, maybe a week later, that energy is just gone. It's like you can almost hear a literal clock counting down your ambition.
And speaking of that ticking clock, let's look at this super interesting concept from TV tropes known as the tick-tock tune. It's this media trope where composers use ticking clock sound effects to build immense anxiety. Think about the incredible composer Hans Zimmer. He uses this brilliantly in movies like Dunkirk or Interstellar. That constant ticking creates a deeply cinematic feeling of urgency. It's an unsettling reminder that time is running out. And honestly, that is exactly what relying on pure motivation feels like.
Which brings us to our first major concept, the motivation trap.
A Lemonade user named Ashley Ferguson captures this dynamic perfectly. She writes, "Motivation is like a powerful wind that fills your sails. But what happens when the wind dies down?" It's such a brilliant, vivid visual. In fact, whether you're seeking motivation or reflection, these little quotes from the community, they act almost like modern poems, right? They celebrate the gentle power of staying focused and committed. Motivation is a fantastic spark to get you off the shore, but it's entirely emotional, it's completely fleeting, and if you don't have oars to keep rowing, you're just going to drift the second the weather changes.
Let's just be real about what motivation actually is. It's emotional energy. It's a short-term drive that literally waits around for the right mood to strike. And worst of all, it's completely unreliable the second, literally the exact second, you face discomfort. It's a trap because it vanishes exactly when life gets hard. When you're tired, when you're stressed, or honestly when it's just a little bit drizzly outside, poof, your motivation is gone.
So if motivation is that anxious, ticking clock that eventually runs out, motivation versus discipline, let's shift the narrative to the steady, reliable heartbeat of a metronome. When we compare these two directly, the difference is night and day. Motivation is just an emotional response. It comes and it goes. But discipline is systematic. It's constant. It's the conscious decision to act regardless of your mood. And neuroscientific insights actually point out that disciplined actions literally strengthen the part of your brain responsible for executive function and self-control. You are quite literally rewiring your brain for success. Think of it kind of like this. Motivation is a guest, discipline is the house. A guest brings a bunch of energy, maybe a bottle of wine, and livens up the evening. But eventually, the guest has to leave. When that guest of motivation heads out, the house of discipline just locks the doors, turns on the lights, and keeps on working.
And this is exactly how high performers operate. They don't wait around for perfect conditions or rely on their mood, because that just creates a super frustrating roller coaster of progress. Instead, they move on discipline. They are strictly schedule-driven, they actually thrive in discomfort, and they build really steady momentum. They just move on schedule, whether they feel like it or not.
Okay, so how do we actually make taking action automatic rather than a painful daily struggle? Let's get into the power of systems.
To remove decision fatigue entirely, we can borrow some incredible systems from high achievers. Try the 1-2-3-U method. Literally, physically count to 3 and just move before your brain can talk you out of it. Combine that with time blocking to make those key actions non-negotiable. If a task feels absolutely dreadful, use the Pomodoro technique. I mean, anyone can suffer through 25 minutes of focus, right? And finally, the ultimate game changer, identity-based habits.
Consider a simple statement like, I am someone who exercises daily. This is the core of identity-based habits. Instead of waking up and asking yourself, do I feel motivated to work out today? You shift your entire mindset. You stop negotiating with your feelings altogether. You just act in alignment with who you are. A runner runs, a writer writes. You take the emotion right out of the equation. The top 1% cultivate incredible control to protect their discipline. They fiercely protect the first 90 minutes of their day to set the tone, and they subtract distractions before ever adding tasks. Turn off the notifications, clear the desk. But the real secret sauce, they weaponize boredom. Real mastery isn't always exciting. It's usually found in the quiet, repetitive, mundane moments when nobody is watching. And lastly, they track their progress daily to objectively prove to themselves that their systems are working.
So, small steps, massive momentum. We're reframing discipline here. It isn't a punishment. It's not a restriction. Discipline is the ultimate freedom that yields extraordinary results.
You don't need a massive life overhaul today. Seriously, just build a 30-day foundation. Wake up at the exact same time, write down just your top 3 priorities, and finish what you start. They remind us that even small, daily efforts can lead to extraordinary results. Just committing to 10 minutes a day of a new habit builds really robust neural pathways over time. Remember this: discipline compounds faster than inspiration. It is so incredibly true. Even your messy, imperfect action, when it's done consistently, compounds into this massive momentum. Inspiration might give you a really good weekend, but discipline will give you a good life.
So here is our core takeaway for this explainer. Success is the steady rhythm of showing up, not the rush of starting. You have to make the conscious choice to transform the anxiety of that ticking clock, that nagging fear that your motivation is running out, into the unstoppable, reliable rhythm of a metronome. Tick, tock. Just keep showing up.
Which leaves us with this final thought. That initial burst of excitement, it will fade. The motivation will absolutely disappear. The inspiration will run dry. So, what will you do when the music stops? Will you drift, or will you grab the oars in row? The choice is entirely yours.